Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of PTCGRadio. So today, we've got one more Pokemon that is getting its own video from VMAX Rising. Shortly, in a little bit later today, however you want to phrase it, we will be doing a roundup of all the cards, all the Pokemon that didn't get their own videos. But today, ladies and gentlemen, right now, it's time to talk about Aegislash, and I'll tell you what, this one could be fun. So starting off with the basics, though I should mention our translation comes from the lovely David Hockman over at limitlesstcg.com/translations. We've got 140 HP, which is a high number, but it's not that high. You know, when Poleon's rocking 160, 140 isn't that great, especially when you consider it's literally in shield form. Yeah. I suppose the one from Team Up only had 140, so I don't know. Apparently Aegislash isn't that beefy. Now, we do have a retreat cost of 3, which is really annoying. It's not high enough to use the tricks like buff padding, but it's as high as it can be without getting to use them. And you are weak to fire, which means all of those welder decks running around, of which there are many, will be getting a one-hit KO very easily, even if they weren't anyway. Basics ain't looking good. Though I do like the fact that we have got a resistance to grass here. If Rillaboom decks ever start taking off, a resistance to grass is going to be rather lovely. So that's nice. Now, I should also mention here that you are a metal Pokemon. There are good things about being a metal Pokemon. We have Metal Saucer now, so you can accelerate a little bit of energy, so that's quite nice. Gardevoir and Sylveon is a bit on the downswing in the Sword and Shield metagame, but you are hitting weakness against that and other fairy Pokemon. And you've got Metal Frying Pan to take away your weakness. You've got Lucario and Melmetal, so you take a little bit less damage. And of course, Metal Frying Pan also means you take a bit less damage. So when you compare the two of them, I'm talking Lucario and Melmetal's GX attack, means all your metal Pokemon take 30 less for the rest of the game. We're talking a Pokemon with 140 HP, but you take 60 less from attacks, and you've got no weakness. That's not too bad. Although it still makes me a little bit sad that you've got 50 less HP than Copperaja, and Copperaja is a stage 1. Never mind. Also, Copperaja can totally use buff padding. But the thing is, I've just given you examples of ways that metal Pokemon can stop damage being done to them. Well, Aegislash doesn't just help your metal Pokemon, it helps all of your Pokemon. The ability reads, your Pokemon take 30 less damage from your opponent's attacks. You can't apply more than one big shield ability at a time. It specifically does not stack, and we've seen this quite a bit lately with abilities deliberately saying, look, we're giving you a really good ability, but just to be clear, you can't stack. Remember, the rule in the Pokemon trading card game is that abilities stack unless we are specifically told otherwise. Here we are specifically told otherwise. Think of it like the Incineroar that lets you do an extra 30 damage, but you can't use more than one Incineroar. The thing is, when I told you about this ability, many of you probably thought it looks kind of familiar, and it does. You see, not that long ago, back in Unified Minds, we got Levani with Blanket Weaver. Your grass Pokemon take 40 less damage from your opponent's attacks. You can't apply more than one Blanket Weaver ability at a time. Well, hang on a second. How come Levani reduced damage by 40, but Aegislash only reduces damage by 30? The answer is Levani was limited to only protecting your grass Pokemon, whereas Aegislash will protect all of your Pokemon. That's why it's 30. You'll also see that Levani had an artificially low amount of HP, but the thing to remember is here that this Aegislash actually, it's not really got 140 HP, because straight off the bat you take 30 less damage from attacks. So this Aegislash gets pretty beefy pretty quickly. Let's say you use Lucario and Melmetal's GX attack, and you whack a Metal Frying Pan on, which really isn't that out of the ordinary. I mean, this is what metal decks are generally looking to do. Then actually what we see here is a Pokemon that, yeah, it's got 140 HP, but it's also got no weakness and takes 90 less from attacks. I mean, to be fair, Reshiram and Charizard will still get a one-hit KO, but at least they're exactly getting a one-hit KO rather than massively overkilling, so that's something at least. And Metal Pokemon actually have quite a few ways of reducing damage done to them. Metal Goggles reduces damage done by 30 while stopping your opponent dropping damage counters, using abilities or attacks, which is kind of cool. We've got Metal Core Barrier, which reduces damage done to you by 70, but only works when you attach it to a metal Pokemon and does fall off at the end of the turn. And we do actually have an Alolan Dugtrio that is only a stage 1 that reduces damage done to your Pokemon by 10 damage. Only metal Pokemon. So 3 of these on the bench will add up to an Aegislash, but it will also take up 3 of your 5 bench spaces, and as a general rule, we don't want to take all of our bench spaces up at once. That would be a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. We're not a huge fan. And this is a useful ability. This really wants to be used in a deck where you're using Metal Frying Pan, you're using Lucario and Melmetal. This will stack with Dugtrio, to be fair. So if you really wanted to, you would have the option of going, Aegislash and 4 Dugtrio, reducing damage done to all of your Pokemon by 70, 100 by the time we got up to Metal Frying Pan, 130 with Lucario and Melmetal, but you're using all your bench spaces for that. You've not got any attackers. We're getting a bit silly. Nice ability if you can afford to get it out. If you can spend the time getting your stage 2 out, this is going to really, really help. We've already seen that one of the best lists for Zacian V uses Metal Frying Pan and Lucario and Melmetal. The real question is, do they also have space in their deck for an Aegislash? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Now, we do have an attack here. The problem is the attack isn't particularly good. You see, what the attack does for 2 metal, 1 colorless energy, 130. It's kind of underwhelming. You're getting most non-GXs, I suppose. You know, you're getting things like Malamar, and you're getting things like Naganadel, and you're getting things like Volcanion, and I suppose you will exactly get a one-hit KO on a Gardevoir and Sylveon, which is nice. But honestly, it's too much of an investment. I mean, look, you've got Metal Saucer, all right? Metal Saucer will help you out greatly here. No arguments there. I'm underwhelmed. I'm really underwhelmed. However, one of the coolest things about Aegislash is we've got a lot of good Aegislash right now. Nah, that's a lie. We've got one really good Aegislash, one really good Doublade, and a couple of others. Now, there are actually 3 legal Aegislash as we talk right now. The one from Forbidden Light, I'm not a huge fan of. For 1 colorless energy during your next turn, if the defending Pokemon is damaged by an attack, it will be knocked out. It's a guaranteed 2-hit KO on anything, unless they switch to the bench, which they're definitely going to. The one from Team Up's got an ability where it, and only it, takes 40 less damage from attacks, although if you've got both of them out, this Aegislash, the one from Team Up, will take 70 less from attacks, so that's kind of cool, but the attack is similarly bad. To be fair, 1 metal, 2 colorless energy, 100 is actually worse than what we've got on this one, although it isn't affected by effects on the active Pokemon, so I don't know. There's a use for it. The one I really like is the one from Unified Minds, and I've tried building decks around this. Largely unsuccessful at the moment, but I live in hope, ladies and gentlemen. You see, if it's knocked out from an attack, you put it and any of the Pokemon into your hand, though you lose all of the energy tools, etc. It basically has a built-in rescue energy effect, which is cool. Then for 1 colorless energy, you do 10 damage for each item in your discard pile up to 130. So you should be doing 130 for a single energy on a Pokemon that recovers itself. I think that's cool. And now you're taking 30 less damage, assuming you've got both of these Aegislash out, which you should, to be fair. And that's before we get round to talking about the whole Doublade thing. You see, we've actually got a really good Doublade right now. Now, there's one I don't mind, Like I say, I'm not getting overly excited, but the Doublade that we did get back in Forbidden Light, 1 Psychic Energy, put 3 damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon that has a Pokemon tool card attached to it. We've got some really nice tools coming in Sword and Shield. That could be fun. But the one I really like is the one from Team Up. 2 colourless energy, bearing in mind we've now got twin energy, so you can pay that in one go very easily. Yes, I know we always had triple acceleration, but that fell off at the end of your turn, so it was a little bit awkward. 30 damage for each Pokemon tool card attached to all Pokemon. That includes yours and your opponent's. And now you can use Aegislash just to give that a bit more bulk. I'm not saying that this Aegislash is going to change the metagame, and certainly I don't like it as an attacker, but I do love the ability. It's like Incineroar. If you can get the Pokemon out, and Incineroar's been pretty darn good in Chandelure decks, so it's easy to get it out, then yeah, absolutely loving it. You should definitely play it. Otherwise, it might be too much of an investment. But then again, we've got enough Aegislash tricks at this stage that maybe it's actually going to start being good and viable in the not too distant future. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, I'm giving it 3 Wassies because it looks like a nice tech and it's the kind of thing I could see coming up in a bunch of decks. Having said that, Levani never worked, but Levani was only for grass Pokemon, so I don't know. I would like to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are completely awesome. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.